Imagine waking up in an America that's familiar in shape, but entirely foreign in identity. An America where the map split after the Civil War, where two rival nations grew up side by side, and where the choices of the 1860s still shape our daily lives. Today we're stepping into that alternate world. So ask yourself, what if the South actually won the Civil War? What if the Confederacy secured recognition, diplomacy, and ultimately independence? How would our borders look? Our economy, our culture, our place in the world? This isn't fantasy. With just a few changes in the 1860s, this timeline becomes disturbingly realistic. And by the end of this video, you'll see a version of America that feels familiar, but fundamentally unrecognizable. Let's begin our journey. Before imagining a divided continent, we need to ground ourselves in the real timeline. By 1861, the United States split over economic systems, political power, and the question of slavery. The Confederacy lacked industrial strength, rail networks, and international recognition, while the Union had greater manufacturing, manpower, and naval capability. Yet the Confederacy wasn't doomed automatically. Early victories shocked the North. European powers, especially Britain and France, watched closely, intrigued by the possibility of a divided America that might benefit their own global interests. In our timeline, Union strategic advantages slowly crushed Confederate momentum. But this wasn't inevitable. With a few key diplomatic shifts, a major battlefield victory, and foreign pressure, the 1860s could have ended with a negotiated separation. Two American nations, not one. That's the foundation of our alternate history. And everything branches from here. In this alternate timeline, we identify one decisive moment: the Confederate victory at the Battle of Gettysburg. But not through dramatic violence. We focus on strategic circumstances. Imagine Confederate leadership coordinating more effectively, supply lines functioning smoothly, and European observers interpreting the victory as proof the Confederacy could sustain itself. With that symbolic triumph, Britain and France prepare diplomatic recognition. The Union, already exhausted, faces growing political pressure to end the conflict. By 1864, rather than fighting an endless war, Washington agrees to a mediated settlement. Two nations emerge: the United States of America, USA, in the north, the Confederate States of America, CSA, in the south. A new border stretches from the Chesapeake Bay to the Mississippi River, creating a continent now defined by division. The world reacts quickly. European powers adjust alliances, seeing a split America as an opportunity. Trade deals form with both nations, especially the CSA, which becomes a key exporter of agricultural goods. But there's also new tension. With two governments claiming the legacy of the American Revolution, global powers navigate diplomacy carefully, treating North America as a competitive zone. The USA struggles with reduced farmland and a weakened manufacturing market, while the CSA faces economic stagnation from overdependence on an agricultural system. Both nations race to modernize. Internationally, the divide reshapes global politics. Instead of one rising superpower, the world now sees two mid-sized rivals locked in a long-term rivalry that influences foreign policy from Europe to Latin America. Inside the Union states, life shifts almost overnight. With the South no longer part of the country, the USA accelerates industrialization to replace lost resources. Northern cities explode in population, becoming overcrowded, rapidly mechanized hubs of manufacturing. Railroads expand aggressively, linking Midwest farms to Northeastern factories. Education reforms appear earlier, aiming to support a more technologically driven economy. Politically, there's a new identity debate. Without a reunified nation to strive toward, the USA redefines itself around innovation, urban growth, and centralized governance. Culturally, Northern Americans develop a stronger sense of regional identity, distinct from the South and increasingly tied to industry, technology, and a streamlined national vision. With Reconstruction no longer part of national policy, the USA shifts focus to strengthening federal authority. Constitutional amendments evolve differently, emphasizing economic modernization and internal cohesion. Immigration policy becomes more selective, favoring skilled laborers to support rapid industrial growth. Labor unions gain greater influence as factory systems expand, pushing for standardized national labor laws earlier than in our timeline. Social policy modernizes faster due to urban pressures. Public schooling expands, early social safety networks form, and federal infrastructure programs become a cornerstone of national politics. The USA becomes a centralized, efficiency-driven state, very different from the sprawling, diverse version we know today. By 2024, the global landscape is unrecognizable. Instead of the United States becoming the world's leading superpower, the split prevents either nation from reaching that level of dominance. The USA evolves into a highly industrialized, tech-forward nation, comparable in power to modern Germany or Japan. It influences global markets but doesn't define them. The CSA becomes a mid-tier nation with a slower path to modernization, eventually transitioning into a mixed economy. It maintains strong agricultural exports but struggles with global competitiveness. Without a unified U.S., global power is more multipolar. Europe and Asia hold larger roles, and North America is viewed as a region with two competing influences rather than one dominant force. In this alternate 2024, American culture is a tale of two identities. Northern culture centers on urban life, public transportation, technology, academic advancement, and metropolitan diversity. Cities like New York, Chicago, and Boston become megaregions defined by high-density innovation. Southern culture develops differently, more rural, tradition-focused, and built on regional heritage. The CSA builds a cultural identity emphasizing agrarian pride, small-town values, and distinct artistic styles. The result: two nations sharing a continent but growing in completely separate cultural directions. Picture an ordinary morning in this alternate timeline. A northern office worker commutes on a high-speed rail system, passing through dense industrial corridors. Across the border, a southern shop owner opens their storefront early, greeting travelers crossing between the USA and CSA for trade. Two lifestyles, two economies, two histories, existing side by side on the same continent, but built from a single split decision more than 150 years ago. This is the America that might have existed if the Confederacy won. A continent defined not by unity, but by parallel histories. If you enjoyed exploring this alternate timeline, hit like, subscribe, and tell us what if scenario we should dive into next.